What's going on, guys? Bladezilla here, and today we've got a fancy special one for you. This is a continuation of the current series, and this is being released as we're kind of going through this, so this is kind of cool. This is the Shirogorov 111 Ignis. So part of the Elemental series, I guess we can now assume that there's a series. I know the last video I did was on the 111 Aram, and really cool, widely well-received 111 variant. And much like the Elemental series of the F3, we've got a matching counterpart to kind of go along with the 111. So pretty awesome little knife to talk, well, I shouldn't say little knife, pretty awesome knife, massive sword of a knife to talk about today. Lots of color, lots of little details on this one. I can't see this video being super short today, but I'll do my best to kind of condense it as much as I can, but no promises as always. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a coffee, a Coke, a beer, a wine, whatever you're interested in, because we've got a real special, beautiful knife for you on the channel today. As a reminder, guys, check out Bladezilla.ca. That's me, that's my site. I'm in Canada. Lots of really cool stuff available now. They're just added some Protex, just added some Penna, testing that Penna stuff just to kind of see how it does here. Some cool Chavez stuff, kick stops, lots of Shiros, some Barkers, some CKFs, Microtechs, you name it, and some Kunu. There you go. So lots of good stuff on Bladezilla.ca. Rather than paying for ads, I figure why not show my phone at the start of the video, and you know, may as well go down that road. But that's not what we're here for. Not here for Bladezilla.ca. We're here for the Shirogorov 111 Ignis, part of their Elemental series of the 111. So where to start? Well, they're calling this Phoenix Wing Techno Carbo, which is just, you know, I hate to keep using puns here. It's fire. It's absolute fire. They're all completely different, all individual. We've got hints of gold in here. We've got hints of red, orange, deep reds, blacks, and then combine that when you move this in the light. And remember, I've got a fixed source of light right now, so you're going to get natural reflections. When you get this thing out in the sun, it dances and sparkles like a diamond. Absolutely gorgeous. I guess today we're going to start, I suppose, with some measurements for those who haven't seen a 111 before. They've been around for a little while in various configurations and forms, different blade steels, all kinds of stuff. This one I believe is a Gen 5.1. I think they're calling it a Gen 5.1, which has more to do with the blade thickness for the Gen 5s. Overall length on this guy, for those who haven't seen a 111, they're massive. So 9 3/4 inches total length, or overall length. Blade length should be 111 millimeters. That's where the 111 comes from. So I'm seeing 4 1/4, maybe a little over 4 1/4, a little less than 4 3/8 on the grind. And then to the center of that choil, yeah, you're 4 3/8 ish. Big sword, but it hides it well. Handle length of 5 3/8. So despite the long blade, much like the Astrum, it hides it very well. It hides it very well. So anyway, let's get some weight on this beast. And I'm trying to remember what they were. I thought they were actually under the ounces to inches kind of range. Zero that off. Okay. Without guessing, I'm saying I thought they were 5, maybe over 5 with the bead, 5.5, 5.2, 5.2. Okay, not bad. 5.1. Actually, let's zero that one more time. Okay, so 5.2 ounces on my Salter super inaccurate scale. Which, you know, let's be honest, it's not the most accurate thing in the world, but at least it's a snapshot of consistency for the channel. So we've got, what did I say, a 4.25 or 4.3, 4.34, what is it, 4, I think officially they call it 4.37 or 38 or something, but I want to say 4 3/8, somewhere around there. Blade length at roughly 5 ounces, basically, with that bead on there is adding a little bit of weight, so let's just say 5 ounces. So you're really in the ballpark, honestly, for the ounces to inches ratio. That being a magic rule that if it's a 3.5 inch blade, you want it to weigh 3.5 ounces, and obviously there's deviations and exceptions to all this, but really quite solid given that it is a monstrous blade length. So keep that in mind. So the Phoenix Wing Techno Carbo looks fantastic. It's attached together with these 3 Shirogorov bits. As you can see, the main pivot. We've got the 2 on the tops here as well. For that, you will need a Shirogorov tool. The tool, well, I guess on this you could get away with, there's no reverse bit, so you could get away with like a penny or a credit card folded on itself if you really wanted to. On a collectible like this, where they are series, they are limited, they are not making them ever again. I can't see a lot of people wanting to necessarily carry and rebuild and work on these ones because they tend to hold their value. As soon as they're released, they tend to go for more than table almost right away, and even that bead that's on the back, which we'll get to, people pay more money for that bead because there's collectibles, right? There's people collect these beads. Let's keep on going around the knife. So Phoenix Wing Techno Carbo looks great, fire, quote unquote. We've got some really intricate milling, should be up top here, as well as on the bottom down here. Now, depending on the light, I'm looking at a lens, right? So I can't really see if you're seeing what I'm seeing. But there should be some milling underneath my thumb here, which looks gorgeous when it's done in titanium. But when it's done in carbon fiber, it kind of hides the detail work a little bit. As you get closer to the knife, it's actually more of a fingerprint style milling, where I don't know if the bead the bit goes back and forth, up and down, north to south, but it looks like a kind of a swirl fingerprint, and up close, stunning, absolute stunning. We should have 5 slots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that has not changed between it and the Arum. Looks great. Maybe you can show it better from that angle. That seems to look a little cleaner to show. All the way around as well, you're getting bevels on that carbon, angles, etc., to make it really comfortable and fit in hand. But more than anything, when you look at it, it's all detailed and unique, and every knife, once again, will be completely different from one another. So I'll take a picture of this one for the store, and you know what, I'm sure as the days and weeks and months go on, I'll have a few of these floating. I'll try to get as many as I can, obviously, but they're all going to be completely different, which is cool. I believe the clip as well as backspacer, they're color matched. They should be anodized titanium. I don't believe they changed that material from the last. They should be tie, and it is all part and parcel and matched with that bead. I'm just looking at this going, kind of wondering if I were to change things up and to make it look even fancier. It'd be cool to have a color matched pivot collar. Beggars can't be choosers, but that would be pretty sick to kind of match that whole package. But the gold anno, it works so well with the red and black. Red, black, and gold is just such a timeless color configuration, just like blue, black. It just goes so well together. And really ties it all together, to be honest, because you get the oranges and the yellows that are kind of the fire colors in here. It just looks really nice. On the back, as I was talking about those tools, you have the blanks on the non-show side. So you've got 1, 2, 3 blanks of those screws. You know, they look great. Ties it all nicely together. We've got a clip, obviously, that is attached internally. And I don't know if we're going to be able to see that on the inside, but there's a little screw right in front of that finger right here, which is basically the same as these. Might be a little smaller, but it should be the same bit to kind of tie that all together and attach that clip internally. Looks great. Love the coloring. The detail work underneath as well is terrific. And I'll grab my little light. I don't know what we're going to really see on the carbon fiber. They should be milling out the lock bar inside, that tab lock. So you'll see some pockets of milling on that. which takes a ton of weight off of it. Totally unnecessary, but this is what Shirogorov does. They add detail on things that most people don't pay attention to. And when you open one of these up, they're as gorgeous internally as they are externally, or sometimes even more so. Sorry, I just had a little hiccup because of my coffee. But yeah, absolutely stunning inside. Big pockets on the one side, and then the other side should be blank. Do we have any gaps on that? Nope. Gorgeous. And that's a good piece. This video is a good piece of Technocarbo. It's a nice little example. On the lock bar as well, you'll see the MRBS. I don't know if we can actually see it with the light, but you should see MRBS right here. Multi-row bearing system. And I was just reading in a forum, I think it was James, did a really nice breakdown of all the MRBS configurations over time with Shirogorov. And it was quite eye-opening, so I always encourage you guys, go check out the Shirogorov Knives group on Facebook. There's a lot of technical knowledge on this kind of stuff, which selfishly, I like to dig for some cool details for some of these videos. And in this case, MRBS, I believe we have a little bit more contact on the balls on these ones. I think these are the three bearing pinwheel. It might be more with a single ball or something. Anyway, it's a great job. So for reference, MRBS, multi-row bearing system, think of it as a pinwheel, 3 balls in a pattern, in a pinwheel kind of configuration, versus SRB, single row bearings, would be your standard balls on a track, which you would kind of expect on most bearing systems. Shirogorov, they do offer certain knives, typically custom divisions with a few exceptions. They'll be on roller bearings, which is a circular needle bearing configuration. Action-wise, they're all very similar. Roller bearings are obviously more desirable, but more expensive. But, just the MRBS is so timeless and only found on their high-end offerings on the production side. So you're getting very classic action, really silky smooth and reliable and durable. So, and not to mention they offer rebuild kits. So pretty simple to kind of maintain. If you lose a ball, pretty easy to fix. As we follow that gorgeous back spacer down, you can kind of see it does have the gear pattern, which did we match the jimping on this, just like the last? Yes, we did. So jimping and back spacer are matched pattern-wise in that gear pattern. Hopefully you can see that. I love it. The other thing you'll notice here is how long the back spacer is. It is probably 3/4 plus the length of the knife. So it really cuts down on a lot of the pocket lint and whatnot that kind of slides in front of that or goes inside the knife and works its way into the bearings over time. So I like long back spacers myself, not even just for those reasons, but just because it really ties the whole thing together. It looks fantastic if it's on its side at a restaurant on its like this or something. It just looks to me more classic, but that's me. That's my feel on it. We've obviously got, because there's a lanyard on it, we've got a hole for a lanyard, and looks really good. We'll talk about the bead in a sec. The beauty thing here is that the backspacer actually sticks outside of the frame. So if you do decide to accidentally throw this at someone or drop it, please don't do those things. At least the backspacer is sticking outside of the carbon fiber so that you don't chip the carbon. That's kind of the main thing. If my camera wants to focus, hopefully you can see what I was talking about. But it is sticking outside the frame, and it just looks solid. Really nice. And if you do want to reverse grip it, I suppose you can put your thumb on there, and just adds to the comfort level. Further to that pocket clip, you can see it is beveled quite nicely, so there are no hot spots in your palm. Just fits real nice. In terms of fit in hand, I will show that. I have an extra large glove size. Jimping is spot on, but there's a huge range of it. So a knife like this, typically you'll see guys wear it with or without gloves, which is why they give you that nice big spacing. It's for various finger lengths, etc. But you can kind of see I've got a 6th or 7th finger. I'd gladly and easily fit them still on there. There's a ton of room on these knives. It's just ridiculous. Just ridiculous how much room these things offer. On the bead itself, let's take a look at that. I know I've talked about this bead already. So there we go, come on, focus. So on that bead, we can see we've got, because it is a fire, right? That's the whole theme of the elements: earth, wind, fire, water. This is fire. So we're seeing that it's got a little bit of flames on there, a little bit of wavy flames, I guess, and then on the back should be the Shirogorov classic kind of tool, whatever you want to call it, slot. It's just a classic configuration, beveled all the way around, anodized all over. That bead would probably be close to $200 in itself, which I believe the whole knife together in this package is maybe $100 more than table on what, or if that, maybe even $50 more than table. It's pretty close to what a Gen 5 111 would be kind of going for. So the bead, some people buy these knives, I'm not even joking you, to sell the beads. So don't throw that bead out, don't get rid of it, and also don't cut it off the back of the knife, please. Untie it, but that little red rope that's matching is actually desirable on the secondary, believe it or not. On the blade itself, this is an M390. Geez, I didn't even check. M390 blade, which is exactly what the Ignis F3 was. So a little different than the Gen 5 one is that slot, you can already tell, doesn't have kind of that little gear tab inside it. So thicker, burlier design with a little bit more area for your thumb to kind of fit in. Can you reverse flick it? Can you thumb flick it? The answer is yes. Can I do those things wrapped around a tripod? The answer, I don't know. Probably. Do I want to find out? Not really. So yes, that's what a lot of people love about these 111s, is that you can thumb flick and reverse flick. And if you look back at kind of some of the other models, say the Quantums, etc., the mini Quantums that are so desirable is because you can reverse flick them. So really, really dig that about this. I'm not doing it. You do get the Shiro Bear on the blade. I am not a big fan of having the Shiro Bear on the blade, as I've said in a number of videos. However, given that it's carbon, there's not a whole lot you can really do to put it elsewhere. As on the Astrum, they've put it down in the corner, kind of on the heel here, or the Stellar as well. Given that it's carbon, you'd have to epoxy in some sort of an inlay and then put it on there. So this is, to me, it makes the most sense. Same with the M390, right on to up to the full customs. They've always kind of put it there, so it is what it is. The other thing I want to comment on this particular knife, so yes, it is a humongous blade. It fits the handle really well, but it's actually a very usable full-length blade, and you can kind of see, you know, it's a very usable drop point. So keep that in mind as well. A lot of people use these. Keep that in mind. Action, it doesn't really get any better than that at all. 111s just tend to have some of the silkiest action in the business because of the length of the blade. Now, the length of the blade is one thing, but another is how do you hammer it out? Well, look at where the flipper tab is in correlation to that pivot. So it is ahead of the center. So they literally fly out. I don't know if I could actually fail this one. I'll try. I'm going to give it the least amount of gas as I can and see if I can get it to kind of fail, but it's honestly hard. Yeah, that's as little effort as I can. Just to break the detent. That's as little as I can, and it gets a full release. So they tend to fly out once you kind of get used to it as well. You know, they fly out really easily. Silky smooth. And they look great, right? What else do we talk about on this guy? I'm trying to think what I've missed. Talked about the clip, talked about the tie. That's anode on the backspacer of the clip and the bead. The cutout on the blade's gorgeous. The M390 is an improvement over the L-Max that would be on the Arum. Although I really, really like L-Max. To be honest, it's a highly underrated steel in my opinion. Much as Vanex is as well. I really like Vanex. So speculation-wise, I guess we can kind of get into that now. So Now we're seeing 2 series of the 111. To me, it confirms there's in fact an elemental series. So you would assume that there's going to be 4. Now, the F3 variant of this was also M390, the Ignis, I should say. So let's just assume we have a terrace and we have an aquatic left. So earth and water. So if I recall, the terrace was S90V on the F3 and the aquatic was Van X. So I'm curious if they continue down that track or if they throw a magna cut in there, or if they, I'm genuinely very curious. But the fact that both of these two, LMAX and M390, Aram and the Ignis, have been matched completely to the other series, I just assume that why would they not keep it the same? I don't know. You guys tell me. Maybe, magna cut is super, super sexy right now, and who knows? And I even speculated on this. I remember when I came out with, maybe 3 months ago, I had a few purple Gen 5.1s with S90V blades that kind of just randomly showed up on the market, brand new. And I was like, that is a weird blade configuration, S90V on a production knife. And sure enough, right after it, I had speculated, I'm like, I bet you they're doing something with a 111. Because that steel wouldn't come about otherwise, unless they maybe had leftovers or whatever. But that was a purple 111 with S90V. So really, really cool, limited. I think they only had 10 or 20 of those that made it out, as far as I know. So maybe just some leftovers. So to me, I would probably speculate the Terrace would be S90, and Van X on the aquatic, if that continues the same. I think both of those are going to be highly well received and sought after. I don't know how long I've got into this video, because I've kind of stopped it a few times with some interruptions, but I'm sure I'm 15 minutes in, and I still haven't even done any of my comparison. So I apologize. We'll start with a full-size F95. This is a Hattie, half tie, Hattie, CCKS 2021 knife. And man, oh man, does it look small by comparison. That's what she said. She's a beast. Remember, this is a full-size Shiro. It's a 95mm blade compared to a 110mm blade. But that is a big knife right there. And it looks small by comparison. We can grab a Astrum as well. So there's your Astrum, which is basically the same size as an F95 end to end, but a little more blade, a little thinner, more neon-esque. And if we wanted to kind of real get fancy and frame this, we could even probably fit a neon in here. Why not, eh? I'm in the neon kind of mood today. I've had this neon in my pocket all week, and there we go. I love that configuration, but there you go. A neon Astrum F95/Hattie to a 111. It's like not even a fair comparison of sizing. There is a Stellar, which would kind of be in between this and this. I keep losing that as well. It ends up in a glove box, and then the wife ends up with it in her purse, and then she loves it and won't give it back, and I keep telling her to take the neon, and anyway, that's a whole other ball of wax. Yeah, a good problem to have when your wife likes to carry knives as well, by the way. Just putting that out there. So there's kind of your main series, right? F95, Neon, and 111, they're the big guys. The big sellers, I suppose, size-wise. The Astrum's a nice one to kind of fit in the middle. And then if we want to do some of the fancier ones to kind of compare it, let's slowly and quietly and gently take these guys off the shelf. We can grab the Russian Overkill, great knife as well. Move that up. Full titanium, limited edition. I think this was a special edition, but it's a collaboration piece. And you'll see if this is your first time on Bladezilla, my style tends to be more full tie. We can do the Bio Sinkovich, also a special edition knife. Longer knife, I guess. Swoopy has a ribcage vibe to it, which is really cool. We can do the recently released strip, which I need to do a launch of this beside the, I have a mic in the bottom left, just for sound. Oh, God. How good does that sound? So there's your strip, as I gently nudge that guy back into place. There's your fat strip. I did a video that was an hour on that knife. And I'm usually pretty close on speculations, or I shouldn't say that. I'm usually can be close, but I can also be way off. So the fact that this knife, when it came out, was called is called the fat strip, I had speculated that there might be others. And I'm still waiting to see. It's been now, what, maybe 2 months since they launched that. So I'd be curious to see if we're going to see other variants of that. But I often say as well, just as a little sidetrack, we've got time this morning on a cool new launch. I always think that the fat strip is the exact opposite of the Astrum. And you might be thinking, that's a weird conversation. So Astrum, long blade, thin handle. Everything about it's dainty and thin. Thin profile, not a tall handle, but long blade. Okay? And this is also great to kind of illustrate the difference in Astrum and 111. On paper, they have both very 4-inch blades. The strip is the opposite of the Astrum. Short blade on paper, doesn't look huge. Super thick blade stock, 5 mil, which I believe the last 5 mil blade stock they did was the Icebreaker F95 Special Edition. Super sick knife, hard to get as well. One of my favorite F95s all time. But that's why I say total opposites, right? Long blade, thin, dainty, short profile. Short blade, thick, but somehow fills your hand equally well in both. Really cool. I did an hour on that knife, so check that knife out. It was actually that exact knife too, which is cool. The Loxa, we'll do a comparison on that as well. So this is the Scott Cook Loxa, Russian. Are they calling it the Russian flipper? I can't remember. Let's get this little bead off there. So Scott Cook, Shiro's first full integral collaboration piece, incredibly well done. I can guarantee you I will always have one of these in my case, just because they're so well done and they're holding their value like a custom division. And I did a video on this, another one that was probably in the 40-minute range, 50-minute, hour type window. And if you can get your hands on one, I highly recommend tracking one down because they are so well done and just unique and different than anything than Shiro typically does because they're on washers and it's an integral. So really cool knife. Certainly get yourself one of these. Just a different experience overall. So check a video on that out. It's in the Shirogorov playlist. Other than that, we can do, what else do we want to do here? A large Sebenza, or let's do a Zon, because we're comparing the big boys. So let's grab an Zon. We're not going to do a small Sebenza today. We're not doing a large, we're doing a Zon. So that is like, Russia versus USA. This is the beast of the USA right here, the American-made stuff, the Zon. Love it. This is like not even a comparison size-wise. Just two absolute beasts in pocket. Okay. The Zon's actually quite carryable. It's a little rough, this particular one, because it's not glass blasted. But in pocket, they're not all that different. Isn't that something? Just to see that profile as well. Same with, I can grab an F95 here and show you that as well. Not all that different. So when people say, oh, the F95 is as big as I'd ever carry and all this stuff, and I go, hey, try 111 if you want a big blade. Try it. In pocket, it's really not that different. Carry-wise as well, not all that different. You're still getting this much in your pocket to stick out. Not all that different. Just a bigger blade. They hide it very well in the handle. So there we go. There, I probably should have done that in the first measurement bit. That's usually when I do that in my videos. Oh, I'll do a quantum. Sorry, one more. I always have my my little quantum here. I'll make it quick. To this one is an E-Knives quantum. I probably shouldn't advertise for a competitor, but kill me. There you go. I think they did a cool design. And for those of you who want to see the difference between a frag and an E-Knives quantum, there you go. Both cool. One single row bearings, one multi-row bearings. Just different generations of special edition. And I think I saw, was it DLT? Or one of the online guys, they just launched a cool variant as well. I'd love to get one just to have in the collection because it's a cool milling pattern, but we'll see. We'll see. So I talked obviously about, I think, everything that there is to really talk about on this one. So the hardware, get the tool, super beautiful Ignis pattern of the Phoenix Technocarbo. It pops in all lights. It's on both sides. It's unique. Great milling on both sides as well. I didn't really mention that those 5 slots are asymmetrical on both sides. Same with that bottom pattern. One thing that I always mention on 5.1 Shiros, I still don't know what that's for on the front of the knife, and the only thing I can think that it does, like it's a design element, but it's jimped. So I'm thinking it's more of a protection on the carbon. If you drop it, it does stick out a little bit. That's kind of what I'd think, but like you open it and it disappears. It's on the inside of the handle. So, you know, unless you can front flip it, I suppose you could if you're not me. Are there people that are like flipping it there? I don't think I can. So anyway, that's always the one thing I point out is I don't know what that's for, but I guess we've just kind of talked through a couple scenarios of what it could be for, and that if you drop it onto there, you're hitting metal versus carbon. Carbon is really, really strong, but it's not impact resistant, as well as a lot of metals are. Just keep that in mind. If you look at Formula One and you watch that, that should be a shining example of how well carbon fiber works until it doesn't work at all. There's not a whole lot of in between. We talked about how the side on the back, so we've got the blanks on the hardware, which looks great. The milling on the tab lock is phenomenal and has that MRBS on the inside of it. We've got skeletonization, we've got ano on the upside down portion of the back spacer, which is gorgeous as well. And a limited edition bead that is worth its weight in gold. That please don't throw that out, or if you're wanting to throw it out, please send it to me, because I would love to have it in my own bead collection. Looks cool. And then obviously don't cut this off, just untie it if you don't like it. And then the fit in hand, the reverse flick, thumb flick, etc., all very valid. Multi-row bearings. Speculations on this knife we talked about as well. Vanix on the aquatic is what I'm going to kind of expect, and probably an S90V on Terrace, if that's even in the works, which I think we can kind of now guarantee it is. We just don't know the blade steels or the coloring, but based on this and the Arum both matching the previous F3s, I just assume they're doing the same thing. But if they don't, and they change it up, Magna Cut or something, I'm also not going to be complaining. M390 is a gold standard. I expect these to be a better seller than the Arum, personally, just based on the premium blade steel. Although the Arum, they spent some extra dollars, actually, no one's really talking about it, kind of polishing that backspacer, stonewash polish. So they put a little more work into that than just an ano. So that was pretty cool on that knife. You know, the person who buys this will probably end up with the whole series at some point, just because they're highly collectible and people want to collect these brand new while they can. My understanding is there's going to be 100 of these. So, you know, the F3s went real quick and hot and sharp. I'm assuming just based on the 111 being not as popular of a knife, especially because it's not allowed in certain areas of the US, certain states on a 4-inch carry is a limit. So I expect this to do really well. It's to me a great looking 111 period. Take the bead off. It's a great looking 111 in M390, so it's a super usable knife, and you're basically getting a limited knife with a limited bead, basically at no charge, which is just nuts to me. And then the other one I also wanted to mention, I always point this out as well, there's a little bevel in here, and I don't know what it's for. I don't know if the light's going to hit this right, but you can see right here. There's a bevel on the top, and I don't know what it's for. And we also do not have beveling on the top of this like we do on a lot of the other knives behind the flipper. Here's the Hattie, for example. So you can kind of see there's a lack of beveling behind the flipper tab. On the 111, just for reference, just a little detail that I noticed. All right, so on that note, I think we're probably over 20, so I apologize, 25, maybe 30, I've lost count. Great knife, really dig it. I think this configuration is absolutely killer and hot and fire and more puns that are rich with I don't know, nothing. I think it's a great knife. I think they're gonna do great. It's a beautiful design. And red and black and gold, timeless. So there you go. There's your Shiro 111 Ignis limited edition, special edition. I think is yeah, I think they're special editions. Great. They're not numbered. I wish they were somewhere on it as well. But knowing that the series is 100 knives, I think no one's complaining. So there you go, guys. Check out bladezilla.ca. Check out TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Throw a like on the video on YouTube. Subscribe as well. Every Monday and Thursday morning, I do full-length videos like this, showing some of the cool stuff on the channel or that's in the store. And just more than anything, just drop a note, talk knives. You know, this is a passion of mine, both personally and obviously in the business end of things. But you know, it's a labor of love, and you know, sometimes these videos like this, I say, hey, I'm going to be quick and try to be 10-15 minutes, and somehow, some way, some shape, it ends up over half an hour, and it just kind of goes to show when you're doing what you love, it's just easy. So anyway, thanks for stopping by, guys. Have yourself a fantastic week, and we'll talk soon. Peace.